Welcome back to another episode of the Blaklist Podcast. On today's episode, we are joined by fellow podcaster and recovery advocate Manny Vitale. Manny's journey is nothing short of incredible. A former Detroit police officer turned 1% biker, he once faced a grim prognosis being told that he had just 4 to 6 weeks to live due to his addiction. But today, Manny is using his social media platforms to spread awareness, inspire others, and show them that there is a life after addiction. This episode, along with a host of other inspiring stories, can be found at theblaklistpodcast.com. Without further delay, Manny Vitale. Manny, welcome to the show.
Well, Jared, and thank you guys. And how is that? Is that looking good?
And man, you want to bite you?
No,
actually, the bad side.
We were just
get a knife and cut it.
You guys, welcome to Detroit and the little My Fight Our War studio. So
my first time in Detroit, and like I said, thank you for opening up your home to us.
Hey, my home is your home.
Yeah, the cool thing is this is the very first episode of us being in person on this camera as one. So normally
You're our second in person, right? Ian was the first.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about like this camera setup and everything. You're the first one.
We are making history.
You're taking the camera's virginity.
I have to I gotta thank David Riggins.
Yes.
Excuse me, I gotta thank David Riggins for linking us together. He shot me a message and was like, "Listen, man, you need to just got off the phone with this guy, Manny. You need to link up." And like 10 minutes later, then you messaged me.
I'm telling you.
So, because I told him, like, I'll reach out to him, and you reached out to me before I could reach out to you.
That was it. David, the chain of events, the things that happened, and I've been shouting out to him too because besides the story that happened to him, a hell of a story. I mean, you hear that stuff.
Yeah.
But as soon as we started talking, I met him. He was on another podcast at the time with a friend of mine, Kat, was Sober Patrol. And she goes, "You got to hear this guy's story." I came in a little bit late because I just got done doing a show, and all of a sudden I'm hearing this. And it was towards the end. I'm like, I got to hear this guy. So afterwards, we started texting. Next morning, me and him did a show. And then later on, the next day we did a show after that. And I tell you what, so David Riggins, man, appreciate you, brother. This is, like you said, we do this together.
Yeah.
So
we're stronger together.
We're stronger together. So thank you, David.
We sat down and recorded with him before, and he's somebody I think Jared's kind of talked to him a little more than I have. But just randomly I'll talk to him, but I seen that he was going to be in New York the end of next week, and we're doing a fentanyl awareness rally on Saturday, so I invited him up for that. So we're looking forward to
he's coming,
meeting him in person. And
he's going to come stay the night on Friday night at the house. And then we're going to the fentanyl rally Saturday.
I know he'll laugh about this. I'm a little worried because our stairs are upstairs, our bathroom's upstairs, so he's going to have to go up and down the stairs to go to the bathroom.
You're just going to have to carry him on your back.
Yeah.
You know what?
I carried you on my back yesterday.
Well, he says we're all in this together, so time to put up a show.
Right up the stairs if he needs.
Oh, man.
It's awesome. It's awesome. We've been very blessed to meet the people that we've met through this podcast over the last... Brianna's been doing it with me for now, a year almost. Mm-hmm. But I started it a year prior. So just the fact over the last 2 years, I tell you, yesterday sitting at that movie premiere, and being able to have, Larry on and Jeff on and meeting the people that we met 2 years ago, I never would have imagined that we would be sitting in a movie premiere, suit and tie, professional thing, It felt really, really good because it goes to show what we're doing is paying off. It means something because we didn't have to. Jeff reached out to us. Like I was telling you off camera, we have some people that reach out to us. Jeff reached out to us and wanted to promote his film and whatnot. And we had a very good conversation about it. But it's awesome, we're, like I said, man, we're little fish in a big pond,
Well, it just validates what you've been doing the last 2 years, you think about it and, you're busting your ass and you're like, oh man, how is it really making a difference? And you see these little, baby steps, but then all of a sudden stuff happens. Just like, off camera, man, we were talking about how the person you were talking to and about being a little fish. When I see you two, I do not see a little fish in a big ocean. I see, I admire you guys, respect you guys to the fullest. So what we see each other as is different than what other people see us.
Some people are like, oh my gosh, I love you guys. Like, you guys are amazing. Like,
No.
they blow it up, and I'm just like, oh, thanks. But then it's like, like meeting Larry Bagby in person yesterday, like recording with him was amazing. I already, you could tell the type of person he was, but then meeting him in person, like meeting these celebrities, you realize.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
Like, they're humans. They're normal people. Like, you know, he was in a room full of people that knew who he was. Huge, I'm a huge fan of him, our generation short,
Sure.
And nobody was like crowded around him and like goo gagging, and he didn't feel like he had to be in the middle of everything and stuff like that. And it's just, we're humans at the end of the day. We all have a regular life.
And that's just it, man. You can sit there and be as fake as you want to be off camera.
Mm-hmm.
And like you, as soon as you start talking, you can be fake as hell. Just like these two, you can be fake as hell. You start the camera, and they're like,
"We're fake.
Hey, I'm
fake.
Change it." But it just goes to show, man, and you get the reality and you authentic. People aren't stupid, especially addicts, man. We can smell bullshit. Mm-hmm. That old saying, "Don't fucking lie to an addict," because I told that same lie 2 years ago.
Yeah,
so,
like you can't bullshit the bullshit.
You can't bullshit the bullshit.
We manipulated so much in our active addiction. What makes you think that, and at that time we were like, man, that's a good fucking lie. And then you look at it now and you're like, I can't believe that I even said that.
And then the thing is, we think we got away with it. It's just like, it's like they believe
even if someone didn't call us out on it, we think we got away with it, knowing it was like, no, this guy's full of shit.
Speaking of, lies and telling stories, what do you think is the most elaborate lie that you've made up or scenario that you made up while you were still in active addiction?
Well, most of it I can't even remember. But I, you know what? I've never been asked that question because most of the times I lied my way through them. What was the biggest lie? I've never told a lie when I was on active addiction.
Was that the biggest lie you've ever told?
Seriously, I remember, being with Detroit police and telling some stories and stuff about, they're like, well, here you're dealing with arresting drunks and all that. Next thing you know, wait a minute, didn't we see you in lockup? You got arrested for fucking drunk driving. Well, it wasn't me, It's not illegal if you don't get caught. But actually, I can't think of anything in particular because there were so many.
When I think about it,
everything I said was a fucking lie back then. It was just.
I told my boss I had leukemia.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I
Do you
remember.
want to hear something real quick before? Jared got his appendix removed, and he didn't even have a problem with his appendix.
Oh, I was just hospital shopping and told him my appendix was having problems bursting, and after 10 times, he just went and removed it. But no, for real, I did tell my boss that I had leukemia. So
my God,
I was deep into it, deep into it.
Damn, well, mine sucks now, man. Mine was just, I remember being so hungover, and to fix that, buddy of mine calls, hey, listen, we got some shit now, man. Come on over. I was like, oh, well, I can't. And then it's like, oh, so it was like, it was at work. I go, oh, you know what? I forgot. I got to leave. My mom's coming in, change her plans to go out of town or coming back into town. Got to go to the airport. So I leave, and also I got a call from a friend I worked with, and they said, your mom called, and you didn't answer your phone, so she called a friend of mine I worked with at the time. She said, oh, yeah, she said that she talked to you earlier, and that they're not coming in tomorrow like she said, so they weren't even coming to town. They're like, you said so. I mean, it was nothing like the leukemia or the appendix, so now my story sucks.
But that sucks, though, like, you think, you're going to get away with it, and then
it's like
our parents always come through and ruin stuff.
Okay, Brianna, what was yours?
I don't even know. See?
No.
I don't even know. I mean, like, it's, I don't know.
You don't know.
It's just like, well, trying to get pulled over, just say, was that you, man? They're like, well, wait a minute, that was a dude. I'm really a chick.
No,
like, what? Yeah. No, you don't want to go that route. But, different lies. But you wouldn't put anything past someone dealing with addiction, the lies to the depths that they would go.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff, like you just said, the most outrageous. Looking back just now, I hate going serious all of a sudden, but pretty much at that time, to get another drink or whatever I needed, everything I said was a lie.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there were so many lies that I started to believe them. You know, I mean, it was just like, until you're so fucked up, and then they're like, well, you're going to repeat the same story, and of course it's totally different.
Yeah.
So,
Such a lie, you don't remember it.
no. It's like, damn it.
You made it up so quick, you're like, what did I say?
Yeah, it's like, that was a good one. What was it again?
Well, let's hop into it. So, how was childhood like for you? You know, where'd you grow up? You know, how did your childhood affect, you know, you leading into active addiction, so on and so forth?
Sure. Well, you know, growing up, you know, sometimes you'll hear that stuff about people. Well, you know, when I was young, there was an issue with the family, broken family, abusive this, or just divorce, whatever the case. For me, I did have my biological father was a bit of an asshole and violent, and my mom just an amazing person, and she has got us out of that situation at a very young age. And some people, you know, as far as older time when you become, you know, for addiction, we always find someone else is for an excuse. It's their fault that I'm drinking. It's because I didn't get enough love. Well, for me, it couldn't be further from the truth, because even though it was a broken marriage, my mom did the best that she could, and not only did she, but the rest of the family. Because I stayed, we moved in with my aunt, and it was in that house. It was my aunt, my uncle, my grandma, my great grandma, and then from there, the riots started in Detroit, and it was pretty violent. And for safety, they moved me to my cousin's house to stay with them. So I was actually living with them, you know, probably like when I was 6 or somewhere that young. And my mom was working and would come and see me after work and then go back home. But still, I was surrounded by nothing but love. So I can't use that. So my growing up,
and I would just say it was too much love.
I got too much love. I grew up too easy.
Yeah.
You know. But then, you know, and another thing that saved me from, I didn't have an issue, you know, at an early age growing up like some people have. I was involved in sports, and I was very lucky to excel in baseball and hockey, which was a curse and a blessing, because as I got older, like 12, 13, 14, I'd be moved up divisions. So now I'm hanging out with guys older. Well, after games and shit, they're going out in the park and drinking.
Yeah.
So that was the first part going into it. And then as I got older, man, then the drinking did progress.
Yeah.
And
so what was the first hard drug do you think you ever tried?
First hard was, well, I'm a 80s child, so back then it was basically like shrooms, weed, and blow. And so that was, you know, going right through the, you know, the gateway, you know, right up through the progression.
Right.
So, you know, that was it. The thing is, everyone was smoking weed, and it was like, this is great. And I'm just like, I was like, boy, this is fun. You know, like, or I was laughing my ass off.
Right.
And then just going through, like I said, the shrooms, and, you know, going through cocaine and stuff like that, which was, that was like the wonder drug, man. I was just like, now I can drink more and stay up late and party more. So
there's an easy fix the next morning.
Man, you know, just like,
gotta fix it with something else.
Boom, you know, yeah, you go on to the next one. And so that was that gateway.
I was never an upper person. I never really, I mean, I did coke, but I never like messed with it or meth or any of that. Like give me downers all day long, never uppers, just because I didn't like my heart beating all fast and feeling that anxiety and whatnot. So it was just like, I really don't know how people like that come on and they've been like up on meth and coke for like 3 weeks straight. I'm like, how do you guys do that shit?
I think that's probably why I like sleep so much now.
We're catching up for time.
Catching up for all those years.
Yeah, you know,
I can sleep for like 16 hours.
Oh, man.
I'd still be tired when she wakes up. Like, why am I so tired?
Yeah, well, I've only had 15 hours of sleep. But like for me, man, I was, you know, I by the grace of God, man, I've never touched the needle, you know, heroin, meth, and all that. I've never, you know, thank God for that. And just the opposite of you, because I had a lot of buddies that were like, oh, try this. And so I was watching, we'd be at a party, and they were just like, and all of a sudden they were like, and here I am, I'm at the other spectrum. I'm like I want life of the party, jumping off the walls and shit. And I'm watching over there and go, oh, okay, I don't want to do that. So I was going to do this drug instead, you know?
Yeah, it's not an out. Like after a while of doing opiates, it was like reversed. Instead of like knocking me down, it boosted me up. Like I get through my work day, I'm like, oh, let me go snort a 30, you know, and I'm like good to go. And other people would do it and they would crash out and sleep for 6 hours.
Yes, that's one thing I never got. Like you say that you don't like uppers. To me, right from the beginning, pills, opiates were an upper for me. The fentanyl was an upper. Like I'd sit there in the same room wake up, do the same amount of drugs as the person next to me, the same exact way, and they're nodding out, and I'm like, all right, what am I cleaning? Like, let's go do the dishes. Let's go make breakfast. Like,
and that's just
it affects everybody so different.
It's so true, man. Like for me, and I've had over 25, 26 surgeries from sports and my crazy lifestyles with Detroit Police, EMS. I rode with the Detroit Highwaymen. I played hockey all my life. So I've had a very physical, aggressive, and especially during my addiction going on, very violent life, man, as far as confrontations and, I was involved in a shooting. I got a plate here now. I got stabbed here. So there was a lot of physical violence going on. And during a lot of my surgeries, what do they give you, man? They give you a Vicodin back then, and now Norco. And with the pain that I've been in, and I just, 17 days ago, I just had a cage, 2 plates and 4 screws put in my back. So, you're getting this, and the first thing people there, they find out you got that, and they want to take all this to get that, that high and stuff. But for me, it never got me that, buzz feeling because the pain level from all the surgeries just took the edge off.
Yeah.
So, but I had guys that I rode with, man, it was just like, if you read the directions, like take 2 every 4 hours, there's like, okay, there's 6, do it with a shot of Jack.
Yeah.
So, but I know what you mean, because I'd see people do that and you'd see them just sitting there. Yeah. And then the other ones were mopping the floor while they're shooting pool.
So I always say too, I think it's a huge thing for people to remember, like doing this, like sometimes we talk about like signs, like warning signs or when did this happen? How did this happen? Not everybody that uses a substance abuses the substance. There is a difference between using and abusing. There are people that can drink, but they're not alcoholics. There's people that are on daily pain meds, but they're not abusing them. There's people that can smoke meth and then go on about their day.
Not that we're recommending.
Yeah. But it's just like,
this is brought to you by meth.
Yeah. Like just seeing, like, just because you're going out with your friend and sometimes it is the case, you got to dig a little bit deeper into it. But like, just because you go out with your friend on a Saturday night and they got trashed and you guys did some cocaine doesn't mean you have to, hey, Monday morning, we're taking you to rehab.
Exactly. You nailed it too. There's a difference between using and abusing. Mm-hmm. I mean, that you can't put any more plain than that. Yeah. And the thing is with alcohol, with anything, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, with that addictive style, eating, people working out. I know some guys I train with, that's their addiction. I mean, these guys are in the gym 6 hours a day. And which is a great thing as far as whatever you're getting into, but anything can be an addiction if it takes over your life.
Yeah.
And absolutely. Anything. Like, it doesn't even have to be a substance.
No, exactly.
You can get piss poor drunk around your friends to the point where you're stumbling and throwing up. And people won't think that you're an addict or you're an alcoholic because it's socially acceptable.
Exactly.
But like you said, they can be sitting there sniffing some pills and nodding out and you're like, dude, you have a problem.
Yep.
So why is that person that's nodding out have a problem, but that person that's getting piss-ass drunk every single time you see them doesn't have a problem?
Yeah.
So when did you notice that alcohol was...
Yeah, that was
rolling your life.
That it started becoming an issue.
Yeah.
When people say
where it got the upper hand on you.
You look at other people and you're like, oh, look at him now. It's like somebody they're calling you to work. They're sick. It's like, fuck, they ain't sick. I was with them last night. He's hungover. Mm-hmm. Well, that ain't me. Well, next thing you know, I'm calling in sick. So it's like, but that's okay because I don't do it that often. Mm-hmm. So you make excuses. Yeah. So that's what I was doing. So then it went from that to family events. I was always first one there. I love family events. Well, now I'm missing them because I'm all hungover or strung out or something like that. These steps that you now you realize that it's you, but you lie. So I'm sitting there lying, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And I'd always say, well, you don't have a problem. Well, I got pulled over. Well, I didn't kill anyone. You got pulled over for drunk driving. Mm. So you just lie and you make excuses why it's okay. And for me, like I said, working, I went from just being a social drinker, and now I'm missing work. I'm missing social events. And, that's when you can see the snowball effect happening. And for me, I mean, my God, seeing my friends, my best friend, my brother, died from drinking. Mm. And we'd see him, we'd be at the bar, and he'd be getting hammered along with all of us. But what's the difference between him and us? Well, he ended up dying I actually got in the hospital bed when he took his last breath. He had everything shut down. Yeah, so it's just like, and for me, I kept making excuses. It's not that bad. Family noticed, relationships. I mean, I've been engaged 3 times and never made it down the aisle. I'm good at saying will you, but not, I do shit and stuff like that. So it affects so many things, and you just make excuses. But mine got, it got ugly, man. A lot of confrontations with family. But I mean, as far as the big turn where it got me towards my fight or war and all that is I had an issue. I mean, I don't know if you want to jump in right into this far ahead or.
I mean, you know what? Just we'll go
if you want to come back to it.
We can circle back.
The conversation that we were having just kind of flowed right.
So, but that's towards the end there, and there's so much meat in the middle.
I can think sometimes.
Just sometimes, man.
Sometimes.
But it's just I like I've said many times, man, I'm so glad you guys are here because there's so many people that you hear of addiction and all that, and it's just a shame. They don't want. But like me and then we're talking and some other people. If you were to sit there and you walk in and talk to someone and they're having issues, and someone's sick from cancer, man, everyone's right there, man. They want to give a hug and support. So-and-so's dying from, oh my God. Then you come in with that sad face. What's the matter? My friend's been hiding this issue with this disease. Well, what is it? Well, he's, alcohol addiction. Oh, well, that was his choice.
Yeah.
Talk about support and love, man.
Right.
So it's just.
So I seen somebody the other day. I'm just going to say this real quick. They said that you cannot use the defense that it's a disease because of like cancer and stuff like that because there's not a cure for it. But there is. There's not a cure for everybody's cancer. Sometimes you find it too late. Just like alcoholism. Just like, other addictions, cocaine addiction, meth addiction, opiates. Sometimes it's too late to save that person and they die.
Exactly.
But there is a cure for it. It's sobriety. And it all takes different paths. Some people have to do just chemo radiation. Some people can get it removed and go on a little bit. Like, there's so many different paths. There's help out there for all of it.
Road to recovery.
You can have cancer and just decide, you know what? No, I don't want to do anything about it, and just go on about your life and just die how you're going to die.
Yeah.
You can realize that you're an addict and not do anything about it and just keep going on about your life until you die.
You could be a functioning addict.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And in fact, my admin, Lynn's brother, she's a nurse. Her brother died from alcoholism. She didn't see the warning signs. By the time she found out, his pancreas, everything shot to shit. He ended up dying. So, I mean, it just, but he was functioning. He was working all the time. So, like you said, you could do all these things. But like you nailed it, man. There are cures for cancer. To God willing, you catch it in time. Sobriety, man, is you catch it in time. You get the right, and there is treatment. We're proof.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're living proof.
Yeah.
So.
Tell us how the hell did you go from being a police officer to riding with 1% and all that? Well, how was that how does that happen?
That's, I get, when people hear that, they're just like, no, you didn't, and, it's just one of those things where, it's like, yeah, I did. And what happened was I was, working DPD and things were going well. Unfortunately, drinking and other things start playing, coming into play. Mm-hmm. And one thing led to another. And I've always been, a biker. I've always rode Harleys. I've always rode with a pretty wild crowd. Yeah. So I've known them my whole life. They've always been a part of my life. So it wasn't this huge transaction. But here I was, Detroit police and all that stuff for a short time. And, things happen. Like I said, the shooting, the stabbing and all that stuff, that change your life. So I ended up leaving Detroit police. And I actually, I transitioned from that working EMS. And but I've always had these 1%er friends that were in all these different clubs. Well, next thing you know, I'm at a clubhouse right before Christmas, and they're having a Christmas party. And it's amazing the things and the decisions you make when you're drinking Patron. So Patron made me decide to become a highwayman. And I remember the next morning I woke up and I look and there's an armband on my jacket. I'm like, fuck. So I called my buddy and they're like, surprise, welcome to the club, man. So I literally went from a lawman to an outlaw.
Yeah.
And you talk about a recipe for disaster. And the thing is, it doesn't matter the environment you're in. We're responsible for our own decisions. Mm-hmm. Being you're in a 1%er club, you want this, bam. Hey, but it's there.
Okay.
But so yeah, next thing you know, I'm wearing a badge one day, and the next day I'm wearing a cut, with a 1%er club. And it was a little the family and friends were just like. By this time, anything I did, they were just they called it the Manny shake. They just look at me. They hear what Manny did now.
How did the I mean, obviously you were friends with them even when you were a police officer, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I was gonna say, like, how did they feel from you?
Oh, well,
converting.
That was actually, to go from being a cop to the highwayman, you are not going to get in a 1%er as a cop, and
mm-hmm.
A lot. But I've known these guys for a long, long time, so they knew me, and but still, you've got. It's documented on these shows, man, where they get infiltrated by narcs and undercover. Yeah. So I got my shit right there. Some of my partners that I worked with were killed in the line of duty, and I wear this proud. These were my brothers, and I will. And I actually had a little bit of a confrontation by honorary member in the club, and he was like looking down at that, and he's like, "You cover that up, or we'll do it." Like, well, you're bad enough to do it. Fucking do it. Yeah. And, as you see, it's still there. And before,
he wasn't bad.
No, he wasn't that bad. Well, it just at that time, they were my brothers. When I was with these were my brothers, and I show the same loyalty that to either one. And so yeah, it was not very welcome because actually there was a situation that I got killed at. Someone was telling lies that I was still a cop. And people were like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna have a little sit down." Yeah. Well, when you get called for a sit down, it can go either way. Yeah. And I knew what was going to happen, and I decided I'm going. I'm not going to bail out on this because I did leave the police, and I was straight with everybody. And the thing is, when you start bullshitting with the people that I associate with, if you lie and you get caught, you will end up dead. And the bottom line,
especially in that type of club and in that type of environment,
you see, and I'm not saying shit that's going to get me in trouble because it's public knowledge. Yeah, I am not going to say certain things, and I won't say certain things about the club or the police because that will not happen. Yeah, but I mean, if you public knowledge and look at their access to the stuff, you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, like you said, man, you say the wrong shit, and so I was straight with everybody, and that's one reason I'm still here.
Yeah, there's certain things I can and I can't say either, and I went on a certain podcast and I said something that I shouldn't have. Not that I shouldn't have said, but I should have worded it different, and it could have very well got me in trouble. But I
mean, it still can. It's something you definitely have to worry about. It's there forever.
I was associated with a certain organization, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. But it's one of those things like
I think the worst part about it is that you name dropped.
These people, she doesn't. Sorry, no. Why do you guys say shit like that? Seriously,
because I can.
Anyways,
I'm on this side of the table. He's in the middle.
It doesn't matter. So no, I didn't name drop big people. So that's the thing. Anyways,
little people.
It was a little person. Regardless, and we'll talk after this. But anyways, there's shit that you cannot say that will get you killed. It's not that they're going to beat you up; they're going to kill you. Oh, yeah, and if they don't kill you, they're going to kill your family. And that's the way that it goes.
And I think sometimes too, like people will be like, "No, you didn't really go through that because you're not talking about this, and you don't have stories about this." It's your story. You can choose what to say, what to leave out.
Yeah,
it's true. Yours. At the end of the day, it's what you're comfortable with sharing. You were comfortable enough to sit in front of a camera and start sharing, and you control it now.
That's so true. But you nailed it too, man. For us, that are doing this podcast, if you would have told me, 4 years and a month ago, Manny, you're gonna, you're gonna start a support group family for people doing, that need help in addiction and mental health and all that. Yeah, right. If you would have said, you're then going to start doing videos and podcasts and live streams.
Yeah.
Fuck, there ain't no way. I mean, I hated talking to myself and all that. And then, but it's a whole nother world, man, because it's a whole different responsibility, like you were saying, you take on. When you sit down here in front of this mic and you start running your mouth.
Yeah.
And I mean,
everybody's watching.
And the thing is, everyone knows you. So if you start bullshitting a story, and it's not a joke, people will die. You know, this our whole thing is to save lives. That's why we're doing this.
Right.
And it's there forever just because somebody doesn't see it now.
Exactly.
They can see it 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Right.
But you're right. So
since we're on the topic of 1%ers, I have to ask, how much of Sons of Anarchy is bullshit? I gotta ask.
You know what's so funny about that?
I was like, he's probably been asked the question before.
And the thing is, they're all in black and silver. We are black and silver with the skull and the wings. That's the same thing. And when I came with the became a highwayman, that is right when that show started and was taken off. Okay. So here we are in our clubhouse, you know, with our girls, our dates and friends and stuff, you know, just the members at this time, and the TVs are all on. And so here we all are playing pool and stuff, and all the women are sitting there by the TV watching Sons of Anarchy. And they're like, oh my God, isn't this cool? And we're like, oh, wouldn't that be great? It's like, you're sitting in a 1%ers clubhouse with bikers right now. Yeah, but look at Jack's ass. So, but, you know, I saw the first few episodes when he first started, me and some buddies were watching, and it was very Hollywood. Yeah. And some of the things they were talking about that they were doing was just like, no. Yeah, no. But
I had to ask you.
No. But you know what they do is they bring on advisors who are club members, and next thing you know, you can see it. Yeah. So you had to have the Hollywood aspect of it. Absolutely. But then they had the reality. And I tell you what, man, we found it was kind of funny because here we are, you know, in the clubhouse drinking a shoe pull, and here we are watching it too. It's like, wait, we got to go out and to raise some hell, you know. They're doing it, we can do it.
They're blowing up clubhouses and stuff.
But the scary part, I mean, in reality, is some of that stuff was not too far off. And again, I'm not going to go too far. I'm just going to go with what you can see if you Google different clubs, not just you know, anything. But it was you said that because it was exact that same time. Right. So we were at the Motown Hoedown, you know, in Detroit, where it was just all country. Here comes 30 of us on our bikes, all wearing black and silver, as we're going through the crowd, you know, all these, you know, country boys, and here we bikers come in, and the C parts, and all of a sudden you hear these girls, Sons of Anarchy. And one of the guys, a good friend of mine, his name is Jax. Really? So it's just like, are you serious? He's like, I'm a popular motherfucker.
There you go.
But
listen, I gotta say, I love the show. I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times in its entirety. I never got into Mayans. I watched like the first few episodes of Mayans, and I never got into it. But yeah, I was always a Harley rider myself. Well, growing up, I always had the cruisers, and just last year,
I didn't fit on the back of his last Harley.
Yeah, but then just last year, I sold my Harley and I converted to the sport world. Oh. So I went over to a sport bike world, and I absolutely love it. Now, if I could own both bikes, absolutely, but her ass wouldn't fit on the Harley seat, on the back seat. So, but I love it. I grew up, you know, riding all the time, and it's just my biggest thing when I got sober was I wanted to have a recovery motorcycle group, you know, and it doesn't gotta be this crazy ass, you know, 1% shit. No, but it's just a bunch of people that get together and ride. And
we have a great group of people too.
We did start. Now it's not recovery based, but we have a group of people that we started last year, and we have probably like 65 members. But we ride, you know, more likely it's like 20 to 25 of us will ride it at one time. Not all 65
I think it's crazy. Sorry to interrupt. I think it's actually crazy. We have a doctor that rides with us.
Hey, yeah, you never know,
I just think it's sick. Like, you know, like it's cool to me because, you know, even just being on a motorcycle, whether it's a Harley, whether it's a cruiser, people talk shit about them too.
Oh, if you're on a bike, I tell you what.
And we have a doctor and a nurse.
And he smokes too. He's a doctor that smokes and rides.
And then we have an ER nurse, and they love it. So to see that love and that passion from people that are in professions that normally downplay it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a safety, too.
Oh, I tell you what, I was a late bloomer. I had guys that started riding at 15, 16. I didn't start riding Harleys till I was like 27.
Okay.
And my buddies were all like, you'd hear them talk about, oh, we went on this ride, oh my God. I'm like, you fuckers sound like you're in a cult. And my one buddy one time at a party had three Harleys, and one of them was an anniversary Fat Boy. And he goes, just here, get on. And he had a lot of property. So I get on this thing, just shows me how to, so I'm starting first gear, just going through gears. And now I'm going, I know. Well, we don't talk anymore, so we didn't try. But anyway, anyways, I'm riding this thing, and I was like, oh my God. So I swear to God, the following weekend, I went, it was with Harley, they had a Rider's Edge course, took the course, within 6 months, bought a Fat Boy. And next thing you know, man, that feeling. I told my buddies, now I know what you're talking about. And I tell you what, when you ride in a pack, I rode in a pack with the Highwaymen. One of our nationals got killed or died, and there was a couple hundred of us in this pack. But we would ride 20 guys in a pack, and the way we rode was it called nose to tail, bar to bar. So we would be this far from the bike in front, this far from the bike, and then we would have side riders that would be flying next to us. And if you were too far back, they'd be coming up to you, and they'd give you a little bump, like
Dude,
get your ass moved.
It's a little too close for my comfort.
Well, if you missed a gear, if you had any type of mechanical failure, which has happened, you go down. And I've seen it happen. But what a rush, man. I tell you what, when I get on my bike,
you still ride?
Oh, yeah. That's my happy place, man. You get me on that bike. And
it's same here. It's like it's for my anxiety release. But it's funny to share a story about so Brianna came to visit me before I moved out here. She came to visit me in Arizona, and I was part of a group out there, and there was I don't know what, like 7, 8 of us when we went to we drove about an hour and a half away, and my clutch went out on my bike. So I pulled over. And
what happened before the clutch went out?
I don't remember.
The back where you got taking the saddlebags off. I was messing up the tire.
Oh yeah. That was a whole other story. But the clutch ended up going out. It was slipping. So we pulled over, and of course everybody pulled over, and we were like, well, shit, like we're gonna have to get a ride back, get the trailer, and then come back. And so she was able to get on the back. This one of the guys had a fucking Honda Goldwing, so she got on the back. She got on the back of one of those. Comfortable. And then my other buddy had a Vulcan, and he goes, "I'll give you a ride back." I said, "I'm not sitting on the back of that bike."
No. Oh, wow.
I was like, "I am not sitting on the back." He goes, "Do you want me to sit on the back?" I said, "Are you gonna let me ride your bike?" He goes, "Yeah." So he let me ride his bike, and he sat behind me. He sat bitch.
And we were amazing. It was nice.
It was I was like, I've never sat on the back of my bike, and I never will.
No.
But it was one of those things. I said, I am not sitting on the back of that. And he was cool with that. He's like, "You drive, I'll sit on the back." And we cruised at like 90, 100 going back, and I was like, man, that's cool. Like, there were some cool ass people.
Kept up with,
and we still kept up.
Yeah,
I kept up with the guy that I was with.
Oh yeah,
it was so nice. I had the music blasting.
Oh, that's just it. My Fat Boy, that's what I had. I didn't have the radio in the bagger because they'd always say, "Oh, you're on an old man's bike." I got a bagger now. I got a beautiful Street Glide, but I got the fairing, I got the radio and all that. And I tell you what, sitting back, like you just said, riding, radio blasting, and I had a good friend, Craig and Lisa. We call her Bobblehead, man, because beautiful Ultra, man. So she's got not only the seat, but I don't know if you had the wraparound armrest and the speakers inside for the passenger.
Yeah,
you'd see her. We'd be behind her, and we're riding behind Craig. And I'm looking, and you see she's sitting there. All of a sudden, you see this, then this.
Yeah.
And we cut back because she'd be out like a light, man. But she was like, oh my God.
It was quite the difference. So, like the back of his Harley, the seat was extremely narrow. And it was short.
It was like the bitch pad where you just had the little.
Well, I had a Mustang seat, which my seat was big, but then where she sat was like this big.
Well, here's the thing too. I hadn't been on a motorcycle since I was like in my early 20s, and I was like 120 pounds. I wore whatever the hell I wanted, but I know with him and now just being older and being wiser, safety is a huge thing.
Oh God, yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I need to have this with me. His head's smaller. We had to end up getting a helmet from somebody else. Like, I didn't bring the correct pants. So not only did I not fit on the seat, I was sliding all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I was leaning. So going from that to sitting on the other motorcycle, I was like, it sucks. I'm sorry that happened to your bike, but I'm glad it happened because I was a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
That's
than I would have been.
Oh, man, I tell you what.
I still would have rode on the back of that Harley with him as long as he wanted me to, but it just... So the world does what it's supposed to.
Yeah, well, that's why I tell people, dress for the slide, not for the ride, because it don't matter. Like, it's too hot. I'm like, no, you're wearing gear. Like, you have to wear, because if you go down, you want your skin.
I've got tons of options for shoes, all sorts of pants, jackets.
So we went and we got her a bunch of gear and all that.
I mean, just for extra protection, too, I ordered a leather backpack that actually has spikes on it. So if I were to fall, my back, at least I've got that for protection.
Or if somebody wanted to mug you could take the bag of that bag and stamp it.
It's going to look a lot better, too, though, because it's got a skull on it.
There you go.
So it's like this really dope, like, black skull face. It's got teeth, everything. Like, it's gorgeous. Yeah. And then it's got spikes all around it.
It's fashion and safety all in one.
Yeah.
Multitasking, man. And the thing is, I've seen people out there with freaking these guys with flip-flops.
Yeah. Shorts and flip-flops and like a Hawaiian shirt cruising.
For me, I mean, everyone, you ride the way you want to ride. I'm going to ride the way out. And I don't wear a helmet. I mean, I don't suggest that for anyone, but for me, I'm just in my jeans, my vest, and my hat backwards. That's how I ride.
Yeah.
And I've got friends who are full leather, and you know what? That's great, Yeah. And because you ride, and you ride just like in recovery. What works for you works for you. Don't worry about what I'm wearing. Don't worry about what I'm doing for recovery. Yeah. Whatever works for you. But so you know what I mean? You'll see these guys sitting there, their tank top and their flip flops, and it's like you're doing 120.
They're on the highway, their shirts blowing all the way up.
Oh yeah, it's like almost like a hockey fight's coming up over them.
Yeah. But
I always wear my boots to ride. I do have like riding boots.
Then the fashion boots.
And then, I have other ones, but they're all protective. Yep. I'm not wearing flip-flops or anything thin. But when we ride with our group, we always end up going somewhere. I overheat.
And walking forever.
I overheat like a motherfucker. Okay? I have sneakers that I put in the backpack, and then when we get somewhere, I take my shoelaces, I tie them together, and they either go over my shoulder or his shoulder. But if it weren't for him, I wouldn't. I'd wear those shoes. Oh, we're going to go for a hike. Let me wear these small little shoes.
No, man, I tell you, the thing is, fashion is fashion. But when you're on a bike, as you guys know, man, it's...
I think that's one thing, too, I'll say about everybody that we ride with. They all wear protective gear, pretty much. Boots, jackets, helmets, or, it's a lot of things.
Well, you think about it, man. If you're in your car, you're flying down the road, and all of a sudden, you're driving, and all of a sudden, bang, you get that little rock that hits your windshield.
You were hydroplaning on the way here.
I got hit in the face with, if you're the windshield now.
Yeah.
So when you're getting hit, I got hit. We're going down the road, and all of a sudden I see this black thing, and it hit me, and I could hear it, and it stung. Ooh. I could see off the hit. Okay, it's a rock. So it wasn't too far. So we pull over, and the girlfriend at the time was actually a nursing student, and she goes, "You all right?" And I go, "That rock cut me. It was burning." So I go like this, and she's like, "The hell?" And I look in the mirror, and I had a hole, not a hole. I go, it was a wasp. It was a wasp. It hit me here. It stung me here. It stung me here, and it stung me here. Because when it hit me, I went like this. It was like, yeah.
Listen, I wear protective gear. I have gloves and everything. I still got stung one day while we were riding.
I've been stung on my back, too. It's come in my jacket and stung me.
I had a buddy go down, it went down his shirt, so he got stuck. The same dude, we're riding, and he's like, pull over. He goes, I got to take a piss. So all of a sudden, he runs down the hill, and there's some trees. So he's down there, and it was a little bit cool, but so he had chaps on and all that. So all of a sudden, we're watching, you can see him getting ready, and he's zipping up, and all of a sudden, he's screaming. Fucking wasp hit him, and went down his pants. Oh, so as he's zipping up, he's splashing this thing and stinging the hell out of his nuts. So, of course, the caring people we are pulled out our cell phones. Motherfucker's getting stung by a wasp.
Nothing you can do. Recording live.
Oh, yeah.
So, we'll kind of move forward on what, so what was what was your lowest point? What kind of made you realize I gotta get rid of it. I gotta change my life.
I tell you, it was something, and people you hear, this time I hit my rock bottom and changed my life. I had something that happened to me, which I'm going to discuss. I didn't have a choice, my rock bottom. And mine was, I was drinking at the end there, it was a fifth and a half, 2/5 a day. And the one day, the day before I went to the hospital, I walked into my local establishment to get a fifth of bourbon. The lady's looking at me, she's like, your eyes are yellow. So I went home. A friend of mine was there. My mom, friend walks up. She's like, "You're yellow." She goes, "You gotta go to the hospital." No. She goes,
Just bad self tanner.
she goes, "Yeah, that bronzer."
Yeah.
So she goes, "You're gonna die." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." So that was that day. The next morning, I went and I grabbed another fifth. Halfway through, as I don't remember. Later on, I remember I was still at my mom's house at that time, so I moved in. I was helping take care of my dad, who then recently passed, so it was just us. I remember waking up in this daze, and next thing you know, I'm on a gurney, taken by ambulance to a 5-minute ride from here to Henry Ford. I barely remember anything. I'm there, and I just remember a lot of confusion. And for me, next thing you know, I'm back in an ambulance, and they're taking me to Henry Ford, Maine in Detroit, where I just got out of for my back surgery. So I'm there, and because by this time I'm completely yellow from head to toe. So I get there, and they're like, you're an organ failure. They were doing my labs work. My pancreas, liver, and kidneys were all just like fluctuating all over the place. I was there for, I think it was a little over 28, almost a month. And out of that month, I was in ICU for like 15 days of it or so, coded a few times. They brought me back. And all of a sudden, I remember laying there and I was woke up by this doctor who I've seen him and his associate, this younger female, that were the doctors that were in charge of organs and stuff. So he comes in, wakes me up, and he goes, "Man, he got to talk to you. You've been here this whole time because your organs are failing. And we've been trying this, trying that. And unfortunately, all of your organs, your pancreas, kidneys, and liver have stopped functioning. So 6 out of 10 people with numbers like this don't make it. So I'm still not getting it because I'm on Dilaudid because of my pancreatitis plus the organ failure. So it was like, it didn't make sense. And he's like, "There's nothing we can do for you. I'm sorry." He gets up and leaves. So I end up just falling back asleep. And it's not really hitting me. So all of a sudden, I wake up and his associate, the younger female, comes in. And as soon as I saw her, I was like, "Oh, shit." And I go, "Is this really happening?" And she started bawling up. And she was like, "Yeah." And I go, I remember saying, "Please, there's got to be something you can do." And she goes, "Mandy," she goes, "your organs aren't functioning." She goes, "There's nothing we can do for you." And, I was just like shaking my head. And I remember looking up at her and I said, "How long do I have?" And she actually started to cry a little more. And she goes, "You got less than 6 weeks to live." And, and she started to cry. And I just remember sitting there thinking, "Fuck, we're talking. How is this possible?"
Yeah, I heard the story before and I looked around the corner. I'm like, Him, really?
Oh.
And she was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No way."
Yeah. So I'm just sitting there and she goes, "Do you want me to stay? Your family, you got to notify your family." You talk about a hell of a phone call. I remember calling my family and loved ones. I'm like, "Listen, you guys got to come in now." And they got there and I remember just looking at them and I'm like, "I'm sorry." I go, "But, I got to leave you guys." And they're like, the doctors were supposed to intercept them. They missed them. So they came into me. So I'm telling them this. And they thought it was the medication that it was. No.
They're just loopy.
The doctors came in and, they said, "Yeah, his organs are not functioning." And they said, "This is so-and-so from hospice." The nurse came in, talked about another weird conversation. She introduced herself.
For those that are watching and are just listening, hospice is end-of-life care.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, yeah. So she starts discussing, she said, with us, we are going to be with you the entire time. We are going to give you medication. You are not going to be in any pain. You're not going to suffer. We're going to be up there until you pass. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, what? And we're talking about my demise.
How old are you at that time?
I'm 59 now, so it was like 56, 54 years ago. Okay. And so I'm sitting there, and still no tears, no emotion. So I'm sitting there, And I was like, fuck, and it was, I saw an episode on some show. It was some medical show where the guy came in. Oh, I got a headache. They did this test, and he came in. They said, "You've got a huge tumor. You've got less than 6 weeks to live." And the guy goes, "I can honestly say, when I woke up this morning, I didn't think I'd have this conversation. I had that conversation." So I'm sitting there with her, and we're discussing. They're going to take me home. I'm going to die at home.
Mm.
And my family and friends, they were just, my mom, I'll never forget this. She's like, no, it's not up to them. It's up to God. So it's like, they're like, no, he's going to die. So the next day, they're coming and taking all his blood to transfer the records to hospice. Well, I'm waiting. Next thing you know, they come in and they're taking more blood, and there's more doctors. And they kept me that day. They kept me the next day. The next day, they came in, more doctors, more blood. And this happened for 7 days, and they wouldn't tell me why. So in the meantime, I'm laying there waiting to die, thinking, every time I shut my eyes, I don't know if I'm going to open them. So here I am trying to mentally prepare to die, and it just...
I can tell it's so emotional.
It's
your picking's getting a lot worse right now. It's shaking. That's just crazy,
But being told that that this is going to happen. So 7 days of these doctors coming in and saying this, all of a sudden, and they wouldn't tell me why they're keeping me. And so finally, I was like, what the fuck's going on? And they didn't tell me. And I said, listen, you already said I'm going to die. At this rate, I already had a plan. I'm just like, listen, get me out of here. I'm going to go get a fifth, an 8-ball, a bunch of strippers. Bam, I'm going out in style. And so they keep me. The last day I was on exhibit. The room was full of doctors. And here I am sitting there like, I feel like I was at the zoo, as an exhibit in the zoo, and all of a sudden, Dr. Death, the one who first explained to me that I was going to die, and his associate, it was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the two personalities. And this son of a bitch is at the foot of my bed, and all of the other doctors are sitting there, and I look, and he's smiling at me, and I'm looking at him thinking, you're smiling at the dude you're going to
take your teeth out of your mouth.
So then he starts laughing at me. And I go, you evil motherfucker, you're sending me home to die, and you're laughing at me. And all these doctors are sitting there looking at me, doing notes. His associate, the female, she comes over, sits down at the bed, and holds my hand. And she starts crying. And she goes, Manny, we're sending you home. But sorry.
No, you're good, man.
Do you want my wet napkin?
No, I'm just kidding. Sure.
Okay, that's fine. It's brand new.
But she said, we're sending you home to live. And I'm just like, what? She goes, that's why we're all here. That's why we've been taking blood from you left and right. Your organs shut down. They were not functioning. You died. That's the only thing left. And she said, when we got your results, your numbers started to stabilize. And then each day that passed, and they were doing multiple draws, each time, the last day, my levels are at normal. Normal levels, pancreas, liver, kidneys, shut down, not functioning, you're going to die. To 7 days, you're like, listen, you better, after being shot, stabbed, sepsis, appendicitis, all these other things. Now they throw this on top. They said that you have been blessed because there's no coming back from organ failure. And yet here I am 4 years later, alive. And so, yeah, it was pretty crazy.
I always say there's always hope.
Oh, you know what? And, people would say, right after that is you're going to sit there and you're going to, you probably did something immediately after that to help people.
Yeah.
I did what I did my whole life. I talked shit for 3 years. And it was like, I'm going to help somebody. I'm going to start this. Well, I didn't. For 3 years, I kept thinking. And you talk about intervention and you talk about a supreme being and all these things that happen to change your life. January 8th of 2023, I was sitting there, went out to my kitchen, grabbed a pen and paper, and I was like, I'm going to finally do this, man. And I went and I grabbed the pen, and I'm like, well, I need a name. And I swear to you, man, all of this happened within 5 minutes. I grabbed the pen, and I went, my fight, our war. I was like, what does that mean? Why did I write that? And I started thinking about it. My fight, alcohol, drugs. Someone else's fight might be heroin, meth. Someone else's fight might be eating disorder fight.
Yeah.
So that's their fight. This is my fight. Our war is addiction. It's like, my fight. I'm like, holy shit. And I look up, I go, you're good.
Yeah.
So then I grab my pen and I write, join our pack, you'll never be alone. I don't even know why I wrote it. And I've always loved wolves. I've got a huge one tattooed on my back. I love the pack mentality, taking care of each other. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, My Fight, Our War was formed. And fast forward, I'm sitting here, lucky enough and gracious enough to be sitting here with you guys. I can't thank you guys enough, to have this opportunity to share this story, and to have this platform because, their death addiction, it's not a death sentence.
Yeah.
And I'm literally proof of that, man. They came in, were preparing me with hospice to die, telling me what I was going to do. And this was it. Now I'm not on the only medication I'm on is blood pressure, stuff for my stomach. And I was lucky enough to be diagnosed with autoimmune disease. So,
congratulations.
Yeah, mixed connective tissue disorder, which is basically pain throughout your body. But yeah, I mean, to that conversation, I remember sitting there. Now you talk about a crazy situation 2 weeks ago, being taken to that exact same hospital to have major back surgery, sitting there looking out the window. I'm like, 4 years ago, I was in this hospital waiting for hospice to take me home to die. Now I'm walking out of here.
And it's crazy. 'Cause I know not everybody's, religious or anything, but like, dude, that goes to show that there's something greater than ourselves out there. Mm-hmm. Like, if that's not that, like me, I choose to call it God. Anybody can call it what they want. But, like, if that's not the hand of God, like, holy shit, what is? Because, I mean, you go from ready to, you're dead, we're sending you home. And the next thing, like, you start thinking about it, you're like, how the hell how does that even happen?
These doctors,
and it's amazing. And I'm sure that's why they were like all in unshocked. It's like,
and it wasn't medical science. They didn't do anything for you to like help reverse any of this. They were just going to send you home, and something happened with your body, and it helped you.
As they said there is no cure. They said there's nothing. When your organs fail, there's no kickstart. There's no pill. There's no IV.
Yeah,
just like you said, and.
It's amazing, and even going aside from that, like just us here being alive through our addiction, from everything that we've done, and we're still alive, and that just goes to show like there's something out there greater than ourselves. Because every single time that we used fentanyl, or anytime we did, this, that, or the third, we could have been dead. And the fact that we're alive and that we're here. And that we're able to sit here and talk about this.
Yeah, like you said, no. One thing with My Fight, Our War is I always say my rules are don't be an asshole. If you're an asshole, you're not going to be on My Fight, Our War. We support each other, and like you said about religion, Vitale, I'm a born and raised Catholic boy, and that's my faith is my God, and I will never push that on anybody or like politics, religion. And it will not be pushed on anyone in our family, and but. I tell you, for me, like you nailed it, man. My faith in God, I wasn't like that the whole time, and it took me dying and coming back. It took me from dealing with, the shooting, the stabbing, the sepsis, the appendix bursting and all that. It actually did. I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. But
yours actually did. I'm sure when they took mine out, they were probably like, "What the fuck? There's nothing wrong with this guy."
They're like, "Oh, drug use." Yeah.
They still did it though.
Hey, you know what? The insurance was good.
Here, we're gonna put it back in. It's still good.
Yeah. Take that, but So my faith is I pray every day, every morning, all the time. There's no, as long as you have, I'm not saying believe in God. I'm not saying believe in what I believe in. I'm saying have faith. I don't care if you want to have faith in a dead fucking possum's asshole. If you want to pray to that, then pray to that. If it gets you through the day, you grab that dead possum's asshole and you pray to that.
Yeah.
Hey, if it gets you through the day, you know what? God bless you.
Well, and that's the thing, like, everybody's recovery is different.
Yeah.
Some people, they're 100% abstinent. Some people, they're on, MAT, whether it be methadone or Suboxone or Kratom or this or that or the third. And other people, they might use, medical marijuana, or somebody might use psychedelics as there's no wrong way to go about your recovery. And I'm sorry, but fuck what everybody else says. If they say, oh, you have to be 100% or you're not sober, I'm sorry, but that's just, again, it's not like you're encouraging someone to, hey, you can go and use meth whenever you want, this and that. But if someone's got to be on Suboxone, or if they got to be on methadone, or if they got to be on some, whatever it keeps them from their vice, you know.
Exactly.
Harm reduction.
It's harm reduction at the end of the day. And we are big on that. We are huge on that. And sometimes we get shit on because we support alternative paths of recovery. But at the end of the day, that's why we do this. This is why we're trying to break that stigma, trying to let people know there is more than one way to recover. And there's no way is a wrong way. Whatever you feel is going to help you, this is what I believe, you know, and if you want to do what I do, great. And if not, whatever works for you.
Man, that's
anybody else can fucking kick rocks, in my opinion.
And that's just it too. I always say the same thing, man. Just because you feel this way and it's working for you, great. And you know what? Like you just said, if this is working for me and to stay alive, stay functioning, and stay healthy in the way I choose to do it, and you know what? If you don't like it, like you said, fuck you, and don't judge this guy because you don't. We all. But the other thing we do agree on is we're in recovery. Just because your recovery is not like my recovery doesn't make it right. So, man, you nailed it, bro.
But we're in it together. Like, that's the thing. We're in this together. The only way that we're going to make it through is by doing this together and, supporting each other and networking and just we're all trying to do the same thing. There's 100 different, recovery platforms that are out there. And we're not in competition with anybody else because of what they do. We're in it together.
Sure.
So if you're going to go do this and, we're going to support you.
Yep.
We're going to push you, or here's people, or, we're here, like that's just what we do. It's not like, well, they got more followers than I do, so fuck them, or, their guests are bigger than ours. No. We're in it together, man.
And that's
just sharing people's stories.
Yeah, sharing and caring, man. It just people, you both nailed it about being authentic. If you're doing what we're doing here to help people, if you're not doing it, I tell you what, enjoy it because it's not going to last. You will not last in your bullshit because we'll smell it out and we'll fucking, and you're not going to last doing this stuff because you nailed it, Jared. This is a passion. We have been very blessed. I have been so blessed, just like we all have. And, for me, giving back, and I've had people say that addicts and, alcoholics, they're just selfish motherfuckers. And you know what? During addiction, yeah. But in recovery, you will not find a more giving person than an addict, than an alcoholic. Because when we're giving something, when we're giving a blessing that, hey, you know what? This helps me. What's the first thing we do? We share it. Mm-hmm. So now you're giving away, whereas an addict, you're trying to steal your shit, steal someone else's shit. It's like all about me.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, together. I mean,
before we were being real selfish, I say now, selfish is kind. Sometimes, we do have to take care of ourselves, and that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But we're not being selfish in the ways that we used to be. Being selfish is kind. In recovery, you need that.
Well, and you always say, I didn't, when you hear, it doesn't matter about them. It's got to be your number one. And it's like, well, yeah, because like if we're not good with ourselves, and it sounds so cliche, but if you're not good with yourselves and you're not happy with yourself, you're not real with yourselves, you're not going to help a single person out there.
Yeah.
And you can only fake your way so far.
Oh, absolutely. You're going to get caught up eventually. And that's just the way it is. So. And speaking of helping each other and being there and all that, let everybody know, like, where can they find you guys? Where can they catch your lives? Where can they support?
Well, right behind me here, the Wolf, you see My Fight Our War. And I just want to thank everyone, that from January 27th was our year. And the support and the love from everybody, all the admins, all the mods, all the family. My Fight Our War, you can find us obviously on Facebook. I'm doing lives constantly now. We do have our YouTube channel, Manny Vitale, My Fight Our War. I need to get more out there. My technical skills, as everyone knows, turning on the phone and is a plus for me. So I need I need some guidance as far as, spreading, the wings here and getting more coverage as far as Instagram, TikTok, and all these other things. But that's going to be in the future. But right now, mainly Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, My Fight Our War. And just check us out. And, just like Blaklist Podcast, just like Sober's Cool, just like Hard Docs, just like Sober Patrol, Sassy and Sober, Scar Nation, all these amazing Al-Anon, Live Right. We're here. The help is here. We're here. Take that first step, man.
Yeah.
And take,
Just because you don't get along with one or like the way one is, there's more. There's so many out there. You will find your people.
And you can do, it's fine to be, to join multiple. I've had people say, well, Manny, I saw this family and they're really good, man. And you're not cheating on me. I mean, the more I go, I'm friends with them.
The more the better.
We are in this together, just like with you now, man.
Yeah.
Blaklist Podcast is going to be all over my mouth when I'm sitting there doing shows, because you guys, what you do, it's saving lives. Yeah. And for you guys to do what you're doing, to be where you want to be, that's where I want it. That's where, that's what you've done to validate where you're at, is showing that it works. Yeah. So you associate with who you want to be and how you want to be. So sorry, but I'm going to be on your coattails.
Nice. Like I said, we're all in it together,
We are.
Like you said, too, go find people, go do stuff, because somebody may come across you one day, even if it's just in the comments of somebody else's video, and they will reach out and you can save their life.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So I do want to give a shout out to Jody Matthews, Sober as Swaggy.
Jared copied me today.
No, I didn't even know she had the shirt on. I was like, I'm rocking this today for the podcast. But soberswaggy.org, go check it out. You can order merch on there. Jody's our co-host
he's
in
got
Detroit,
hats,
and he's got all
outfits,
bracelets, hats, shirts, you name it. So while we're on the subject, go support. I appreciate you coming on. It's awesome. It's funny that you say earlier, the title of this episode is actually going to be From Lawman to Outlaw. So it's really cool just to sit here and talk, and just kind of get to know a little bit more about you and what you're doing and whatnot. And man, you're on the right path.
I appreciate it.
And whatever we can do to help you get to that next level, because we have people help us get to that next level, and that's what we're here to do.
And that's what it's all about. And the thing is, you're so true and authentic about it, because we just started talking not too long ago. So it wasn't one of those things where, we'll get back to you, Manny. Yeah. No, man.
Well, it's actually funny, because we were already going to be here in Detroit for the event yesterday, and then I'd seen you post something about Detroit. Yeah. And so that's why I messaged you, like, do you live? Detroit. And then I was like, we're going to be there. Let's link up. Let's do something. And that's cool. Like, we'll do it without hesitation.
Things have. And it was funny, about Jody real quick. It was so funny. The other day I was supposed to have a gentleman on the show, and it just, for one thing or another, we couldn't link him on. So as I'm going through, I'm like, listen, everything's set up. And Jody was watching, and I said, he popped up there and said, hey, brother. So I go, we'll try it again. And I hit, to add him back on. And also I hit it, and there's Jody, upside down. And I'm like, hey, brother. He's like, what's going on? I go, what are you doing? He goes, you pushed the add me. I go, no, I didn't push that, Chris. But no, he didn't. So then all of a sudden he was sideways. Then he was upside down again. So me and him are laughing our asses up. I go, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, he told me, he goes, I just got a random request and I accepted it. He goes, and I was fucking stuck upside down. I couldn't figure it out.
Oh, but what a great dude, man. I tell you what, you guys are such class act. You are the environment you're with. And like I said, for me, I'm proud to, not only be a guest on your show, but to be able to call you a friend, call you a brother, call you family. Yeah, and if there's anything,
you can call me your brother too.
You're my bro. You're my broette.
Broette.
You're my broette. And but if there's anything at all that myself, my firework could ever do, we are all in to help Blaklist, podcast in any way possible, because you nailed it. We are in this together. We cannot do this alone. And I can't thank you enough, because I know your guys' schedule, as hectic as it is, you didn't have to do this. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time in this, because I know you got a long ride and all that. Yeah. But I really beat from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you for opening your house.
Thank you for providing this studio for us.
I'll make myself at home. I just won't do your dishes.
That's all right. I don't do them either.
No, but that's awesome.
Got a dishwasher.
But everybody go follow Manny, go follow My Fight Our War, go give them a like, subscribe on YouTube, a follow. Get some merch. I don't know. You get merch.
I do have. If you go to our page, our homepage, you'll see a store. You can click on that, and we're dealing with some hats now but you can get hoodies, T-shirts, water bottles, tank tops. So yeah, please check us out. Support the gear, support the cause, just like all the rest of us, man, because we're in this together.
Absolutely. So all right, you guys heard it. Check us out, theblacklistpodcast.com, and until next time, we are signing off.
Thank you.